In recent weeks have been shining a light on minor hockey teams and associations throughout North America. But today we're talking about probably one of the most important international associations in pro hockey history. Of course, it's called the International Hockey League. Now, the original version of the IHL started in 1945 in the war years and continued until 2001. Now, this association was based in the States and Canada and served as the National Hockey League's alternate farm system to AHL. Now, after 56 years of operation, financial instability led to the league's demise. 6 of the surviving 7 teams merged into the AHL in 2001. Now, the IHL was formed on December 5th, 1945, in a 3-hour meeting at the Norton Palmer Hotel in Windsor. In attendance were Jack Adams, who was the coach of the Red Wings, Fred Huber, the Red Wings Public Relations Director, Frank Gallagher, who was later league commissioner, Lloyd Pollock, a Windsor hockey pioneer, Gerald McHugh, a Windsor lawyer, Len Hebert, Len Laurie, and Bill Beckman. The league began operations in the 46th season with 4 teams in Windsor and Detroit and operated as semi-pro. Now in 47, a team from Toledo joined the league, and the following year the IHL expanded to include 4 more teams in the U.S. The expansion did not take hold, and for 1950 the league was back down to teams in Detroit and Windsor, as well as Sarnia and Chatham. Windsor dropped out in 50, and expansion in the U.S. began again, with Toledo rejoining the league and new teams in Grand Rapids, Troy, Ohio, Cincinnati, Fort Wayne, and Milwaukee. At the same time, the last Canadian team left the league in 52 when the Chatham Maroons pulled out. 3 new U.S. cities were added in 53. The league would eventually expand and shrink between 5 and 9 teams throughout the 1950s, with another major expansion in 1959. In the 63 season, the IHL played an interlocking schedule with the Eastern Professional Hockey League, which is owned by the NHL, which is self-folded after the 63 season. After 11 seasons as a strictly U.S.-based league, the IHL admitted 2 Canadian teams in 63, with the Windsor Bulldogs and the return of the Chatham Maroons. Both teams dropped out after 1 season, however, and the league would not have a Canadian team again until 1996. Now, Bill Began served as commissioner at IHL from 69 to 78. The Canadian press cited him for turning on the league's finances and making a top-tier development system for NHL talent. Starting in the late 1960s, the IHL's quality of play significantly improved. By the mid-1970s, it was on par with the American Hockey League, the longtime top feeder league for the NHL. Many IHL teams became the top farm teams of the NHL squads. In 1984, the league swallowed up a few surviving members of the CHL, or Central Hockey League, which had ceased operations. Now, beginning in the late 1980s and continuing into the mid-90s, the IHL expanded to major markets such as Atlanta, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Denver, Houston, Indianapolis, Kansas City, Las Vegas, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Orlando, Phoenix, Salt Lake City, San Antonio, San Diego, and San Francisco. Many of these markets were served by the defunct WHA or abandoned by the NHL. The IHL also entered markets that already had NHL teams, such as Chicago, Detroit, and Long Beach was, of course, near Los Angeles. In 96, the IHL moves Atlanta and Minneapolis franchises to Quebec City and Winnipeg, respectively, restoring the league's Canadian presence and filling the void left by the departure of the Nordiques and the Jets from the NHL. Now, as the league expanded to larger markets, many of the smaller market teams, such as Fort Wayne, Peoria, Muskegon, Kalamazoo, and Flint, left the NHL and joined lower-level leagues. Now, the IHL's expansion into NHL markets put out a strain on relationships between the leagues. There was some speculation that the IHL was intending to compete directly with the NHL, especially when a lockout in 95 threatened to wipe out the NHL season. Now, however, in the 96 season, the IHL soft salary cap was just $1.5 million, while the lowest NHL team payroll that season was 10 times that amount, or $11.4 million. In response, many NHL clubs shifted their affiliations to the IHL, and by 98, only 4 of 18 IHL teams had NHL affiliations. With a loss of subsidized salaries, high expansion fees, which included about $8 million for new franchises, exploding travel costs, and the NHL itself moving back into some of these markets, the league's rapid expansion proved a critical strain, and it folded after the 2001 season. Now, 6 IHL franchises, including Chicago Wolves, Grand Rapids Griffins, Houston Aeros, Utah Grizzlies, Milwaukee Admirals, and Manitoba Moose, were admitted in the AHL as expansion teams for 2002. Between them, they have played for the AHL Calder Cup 7 times, winning 4, including 3 in a row after arrival. As well, the Cincinnati Cyclones were readmitted to the East Coast Hockey League, which hosted the team from 90 to 92 before it moved to the IHL. The Orlando Solar Bears, the final IHL champions, and the Kansas City Blades were not admitted to the AHL because their owner, Rick DeVoe, who also owned the Griffins, was allowed to own only one AHL franchise. The league's other 2 teams, the Cleveland Lumberjacks and Detroit Vipers, ceased operations with the league. Now, 3 former IHL teams that moved to the IHL have since been relocated. The Utah Grizzlies moved to Cleveland to become the Lake Erie Monsters, then rebranded as the Cleveland Monsters in 2016. In 2007, the Manitoba Moose moved to St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador to become the St. John Ice Caps in 2011, before moving back to Winnipeg in 2015, and the Houston Aeros moved to Des Moines, Iowa, become the Iowa Wild in 2013. 3 IHL franchises have been relaunched in lower-tier leagues since the IHL's demise. The Utah Grizzlies' name was revived by the former Lexington Men of War of the ECHL when he moved, and the Orlando Solar Bears restarted as an ECHL expansion team. The Peoria Rivermen have had 3 more franchises with the expansion team in the East Coast Hockey League from 1996 to 2005, and a relocated Worcester Ice Cats in the American Hockey League from 2015 to 2005 to 2013. Now, a 4th incarnation of the Peoria Rivermen subsequently launched in the Southern Professional Hockey League in 2013. Now, major trophies for the association include the Turner Cup for IHL playoff champs, the Fred Huber Trophy, regular season champs, Commissioner Trophy, Coach of the Year, Leo Lamoureux Memorial for top point scorer, James Castan Memorial for MVP, Norm Bud Poyle Trophy, Playoffs MVP, Rookie of the Year Award, Gary F. Longman Memorial Trophy, Ken McKenzie Trophy for American Board Rookie of the Year, Governor's Trophy for Best Defenseman, James Norris Trophy for goalie with the lowest GAA, John Cullen Award after the great John Cullen, the Comeback Player of the Year, Ironman Award for the durability, longevity, and a Community Service Award called the IHL Man of the Year for outstanding contribution. So, teams in the association including Detroit Auto Club, Detroit Brights Goodyears, Windsor Godfredsons, Windsor Staffords, Windsor Ryan Crates, Windsor Spitfires, Windsor Hetchy Spitfires, Detroit Hetchy, Detroit Metal Moldings, Detroit Jerry Lynch, Toledo Mercuries, Akron Americans, Louisville Blades, Milwaukee Clarks, Muncie Flyers, Sarnia Sailors, Chatham Maroons, Grand Rapids Rockets, Huntington Hornets, Louisville Rebels, Troy Bruins, Cincinnati Mohawks, Fort Wayne Comets and Albany Choppers, Milwaukee Chiefs, Johnstown Jets, the original, Louisville Shooting Stars, Marion Barons, Indianapolis Chiefs, Milwaukee Falcons, Denver Mavericks, Minneapolis Millers, Omaha Knights, St. Paul Saints, Muskegon Zephyrs, Muskegon Mohawks, Muskegon Lumberjacks and Cleveland Lumberjacks, Port Huron Flags, Port Huron Wings, Port Huron Flags again, Des Moines Oak Leaves, Des Moines Capitals, Toledo Blades, Toledo Hornets, Lansing Lancers, Windsor Bulldogs, Dayton Gems, Columbus Checkers, Columbus Golden Seals, Columbus Owls, Dayton Owls, and Grand Rapids Owls, Flint Generals, Saginaw Hawks, Saginaw Gears, Kalamazoo Wings, Michigan K-Wings, Toledo Gold Diggers, Kansas City Blades, Milwaukee Admirals, Peoria Prancers, Peoria Rivermen, San Antonio Dragons, Salt Lake Golden Eagles, Detroit Vipers, Indianapolis Checkers, Colorado Rangers, Denver Rangers, Phoenix Roadrunners, I think the 3rd incarnation, Flint Spirits, Fort Wayne Comets, Indianapolis Ice, San Diego Gulls, Los Angeles Ice Dogs, Long Beach Ice Dogs, Atlanta Knights, Quebec Rafales, Cincinnati Cyclones, Las Vegas Thunder, Chicago Wolves, Houston Aeros, Minnesota Moose, Manitoba Moose, Denver Grizzlies, Utah Grizzlies, Orlando Solar Bears, San Francisco Spiders, and the Grand Rapids Griffins. Now, a lot of people have followed these squads throughout the years, either on radio, television, or print, and what was kind of ironic here, ladies and gentlemen, Muskegon was in the league for 41 years from 1960 on in the different incarnations. But for me, I covered several squads in the association: Orlando, Houston, Detroit Vipers, squads like that in the modern era, because Las Vegas Thunder, because key players that I followed, including Corey LaRose from Campbellton, Gordie Dwyer from Dalhousie, John LeBlanc from Campbellton, had played for several of the IHL teams. And again, what was quite interesting, what stood out was the jerseys, the modern jerseys, especially since the 1980s, of the last number of squads I mentioned. Tremendous presentation. And of course, the Atlanta Knights stands out for having the first female goaltender in pro hockey history, the Atlanta Knights, and Quebec Rafales for a couple of seasons, bringing pro hockey back to Quebec. That's the last time, again, not saying bringing pro hockey back to Quebec, but bringing minor pro hockey back to Quebec, not since the obviously Quebec Aces of a few years previously in the old Quebec Professional Hockey Association. Now, the AHL transfer so far has been so far so good, and hopefully better success for minor pro. I know with COVID, the last season and a half has been pretty rough. Now, if you're a fan of the IHL or the IHL teams, there's various YouTube presentations and podcasts that go more in depth of your individual on your individual teams. But personally, ladies and gentlemen, again, the Muskegon history for me, anyway. Muskegon for 4 decades. I mean, just tremendous place to go see hockey, and especially the original Grand Rapids squad. I heard very pleasurable stories about the fans there. All the fans of the IHL were tremendous. That's what I'm getting at. So if you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, or subscribe. Comments are well appreciated. Tell me what you thought about the IHL. And don't forget, if you have any requests, let me know. This is part of our minor hockey vintage podcast for our Sports File, continuing Sports File columns. Please, again, let me know what you're thinking. And again, if you're a Montreal Canadiens fan today, condolences on the passing of Gilles Lupien, 2-time Calder Cup and Stanley Cup winner. Again, a very popular figure in his career as well as an owner and a player agent throughout the Belle Province. Anyway, thanks for listening, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good day. Bye.